you have to give me credit. The moment that you start unpacking the scriptures, you're going to find more gems than what you can fit into a single sermon. In a passage, you're going to find more gems than what you can fit into one necklace. It's just that way. Okay, it's extremely rich. Okay, so this is why Paul doesn't say, "Now, Timothy, I've taught you everything. Just preach my sermons." That's not what he says. Paul says to Timothy, "Study the scriptures to show yourself a workman approved, rightly dividing the word of truth." He's assuming that Timothy can still get more than what he taught him if he studies the scriptures the way that he taught him. You see, it's not just my phrase. I'm not trying to teach you what to think. I'm trying to teach you how to think. Because then you can go back to the scriptures and from there discover gems that's going to benefit you. Remember, the farmer is the first one to eat of the crop.
Yes.
Okay? Okay. Paul says you won't muzzle the ox while it's treading out the grain, right? And that's it for our benefit, alright? Not for the ox's benefit. Alright? Then you need it. So too often people are just studying. And I'm talking about ministers.
Yeah.
They are just studying so that they have something good to say on Sunday. Okay, so they're not feeding themselves. Now, the other extreme is to tightly divide between what you are studying for yourself and what you are studying for the congregation. I think that's also foolish. Okay. If a truth will feed me,
Yes.
I know it will feed my congregation.
Yes.
Understand? If it's going to strengthen me,
Yes.
then it's going to go. And I am only going to communicate from that of which I am convinced myself. Which means that sometimes God is talking to me about something that I am not ready to preach about yet.
Yes.
You understand? You have to have a big storehouse. Okay, Jesus says a disciple is never above his teacher, but he can be like his teacher. A well-trained disciple can be like his teacher, bringing from his storehouse treasures both new and old. So you need to be constantly discovering new treasures. But while I am still digesting this new revelation, I should not be preaching. Okay? Then I need to go and take a treasure. It might be an old treasure, but it's still a treasure. I need to bring that out of my storeroom. I need to have something in there. You need to be stocking up so that you have something to preach from when what you are learning now from God is still fresh. But if I get a revelation and immediately I preach it without consulting with the Lord, I end up discovering that I had half of the concept. I didn't have both sides of it. I didn't have the balancing points to it. And now I paint myself into a corner because now I can't admit that I taught that truth, but I only taught half of the truth. Because I don't want to admit to my congregation that I made a mistake. But if I am pursuing God, I will constantly be discovering new things, and I will have things in me that God can put his finger on and say, today we're pulling out that one. This Sunday, we're going to yank that one out of the store, and then you're going to have something. This is why hermeneutics. You are reading the Bible to understand it for yourself. Not only to get ready to preach a sermon. You follow? This is why the study of hermeneutics is a big deal. We've just started with some random examples based on your questions, but do you follow? I'm trying to bring it back to our subject matter at hand. Alright. But this means that you have a wide range of scriptures from which you can preach, because you don't want to do the I've used this example in the past, right? The 5 stones that David went and collected, and then we add random meaning to each stone. And I always want to ask, so which stone did he kill the giant? That's putting things in there. Okay. I promise you, there are scriptures that will cover all 5 of the principles you want to preach about. Okay? Don't force them into the passage of 5 stones. Rather preach 5 sermons on each topic and go and find a scripture that talks about each of those topics. Rather than forcing them. I have 3 thoughts. Now I have to find a scripture that has the word, that has the number 3. Okay, and Abraham went to that place, and on the 3rd day he saw. Right? So now I'm going to say day 1 is this, and day 2 is that, and day 3 is that. Okay, don't do that.